And welcome to Sogeti's 2017 DevOps Hackathon. Today we will be discussing about how to install AWS CodeDeploy agent on Windows AWS EC2 Instance. I'm Namrata Shah and I'm the National Solutions Architect for DevOps over here with Sogeti USA. I'm a senior manager and I've been with the company for 9+ years. I have a total experience of 15+ years in the software industry. I have been a Microsoft C#.NET MVP, and I've also been a virtual technology specialist in BizTalk. My email and my LinkedIn profile details are as shown on the screen. So to get started, we will launch a new EC2 Windows instance. So let's click on launch instance over here, and for this demo we will be using free tier instances only. So let's select Windows Server 2012 R2 base. We'll select this AMI and to create our EC2 instance, and we are going to select type T2 micro, which is also free tier eligible. I will be leaving the configure instance details as is. I'm not going to make any changes to this, nor am I going to make any changes in the storage. To the tags over here, we will add a new tag. Let's give the tag key as name and the value as code deploy. I'm going to make it code deploy demo. Okay. Next is to configure our security groups, and we already have RDP as a part of this, and we will just add for this particular demo port 80 as well, although we don't need it, but I'm just adding it at this time so that if I want to use this instance to deploy a web app, I can do that in the future. And I'm going to go ahead and launch our instance now. So as you see, our instance type is T2 macro, and this is going to be a Windows Server 2012 R2 instance. So it's going to launch our instance, and I'm just going to agree and then go ahead and launch the instance from here. So let's go ahead back to EC2 instances and see if our instance has been launched or not. Now as you see, our instance is currently still in the pending state, and it takes about a good 5 to 6 minutes at least after to have the instance launched and to have it running and to be in a position where you can RDP to that box. So what we will do now is I will temporarily pause this recording, and then we will come back after a few minutes and continue recording from there once the instance is launched. As you see, it is launched, but it's still initializing, and it's in a stage where you can easily RDP to that box. So I'm going to pause the recording for a few minutes now. So friends, welcome back, and as you see, our EC2 instance is now running. It's been about a good 5-6 minutes. So now let's go ahead and connect to our EC2 instance. So I'm going to get the administrator password. Okay. Then try and RDP into this box. Okay. So it's connecting. Sometimes it takes a while to connect. So let me pause the recording again over here for a few minutes till the time it initializes. So let me pause the recording for a little bit. Let it initialize and then we will come back in a few minutes. So our EC2 instance is now up, and let's ensure that everything is as expected. This is just a brand new EC2 instance. So yeah, we have C: program files, and we have .NET and AWS SDK for .NET installed, and we have Windows PowerShell. Okay, so one of the key things that we will do is we will start a PowerShell instance over here. This is the PowerShell command prompt, and I'm just going to increase the size of the font size of our PowerShell command. So let me make it 24, and there it is. I believe this is much more legible. Okay, so what I have done is I have actually enlisted all the steps over here, and I'm going to copy these steps over here on our EC2 instance. So that we can follow these steps accordingly. Now, as you see, there are core 5 steps to install the AWS CodeDeploy agent on our box. So one of the first steps is to basically set AWS user credentials. So let us first go ahead and do that. As you see, this is my AWS user, and this is its access key ID, and this is a secret key. So what I'm doing is I am basically setting my AWS credentials on this box. So let's do that. I'm going to copy this here and I'm going to execute it. Okay. Okay. So the next step after this is to initialize the default profile, basically the default region for my profile over here. So let's copy this, and as you see, for this user, which is Nasha 28, the default region is US East 1. So I'm going to initialize this region for this particular user. So let's copy this here, and there it is initialized now. Step number 3 is basically to download the CodeDeploy agent MSI and then have it copied to C:temp. So let's do that, and it is basically going to download this particular copy of MSI from AWS CodeDeploy US East 1 region. So that's why we had set that as the default. So and it typically downloads this from an S3 object bucket. So let's copy it over here. As you see, it's going to read the S3 object. The bucket name is AWS CodeDeploy US East 1, and it's going to download this CodeDeploy agent MSI, and it is going to copy it to C:temp folder. So let's do that. So as you see, it actually has downloaded this CodeDeploy agent MSI, and we can actually go ahead and take a look at it. So as you see, this is the MSI over here. The next step after downloading the MSI to our local folder would be actually executing it and installing the CodeDeploy agent, and we will be doing this in a quiet mode. So this particular line basically helps us to do that. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to copy this over here. As you see, it's going to install, it's going to execute the MSI in a quiet mode and install the CodeDeploy agent, and it will log all the details in this host agent install log. So there it is. It is still executing, but since it's in a quiet mode, it is not going to give us any verbose. The next step over here, step 5, is essentially to check the status of the service. So let's go ahead and copy this. And we will have this copied over here, and what this command does is that it essentially tells you the status of the CodeDeploy agent service. So let's execute this. As you see, our CodeDeploy agent is now running. So this was the brief installation of CodeDeploy agent on a Windows box. I hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions or comments, please post them on our YouTube channel, as well as you can post your questions on our Slack channel. Thank you and have a nice day.